We know where it's
Jersey, and you don't know where it went?
what first. My World Series jersey. So.
That's not in the East Standing.
Okay, everyone. Okay. I'm gonna try to do this in Greek.
Go for it.
I only know 2 words, and I probably mispronounced it.
Until a Macedonian comes down and
Yes, us. That means hello. Yes, us. So, and the other one, I'm gonna make sure I get this right. The only reason I learned this other word is that every time I turn around, people were saying it to me. So I was like, and it was morning time. So I assumed that was good morning. So, I've been to Greece twice. You would think I would know that. Kalamata means good morning. Okay.
Means out of the way, that's one.
1 second.
Ouch. Only if you were with me, Mike. And by the way, Mike and I did that because that's all they do in Greece is argue. We heard that a lot. So if I'm a little tired, seem a little, wired, it's because I am. I'm still on Athens, Greece time. So I'm dealing with a lot of like 8 hours ahead, something like that. So it's I am still getting over my jet lag. I just got back yesterday. Not only did I spend the week in Athens, Greece, I had a 1-night layover in Paris. So I'm Paris, France. So I'm really just kind of, just deal with me. So, I had fun. Yeah, it was direct from Paris to here. So it was a great trip. So
You didn't have to go through an American airport.
no, I did not until I got to Houston. So it was great learning abroad. 29 students loved it. So anyway, all right. So I'd like to welcome all of you to the March edition of the Larry Dierker chapter SABR meeting. So Bob reminded me, this is how I can tell I'm tired. Bob reminded me by what he's wearing that this is the one meeting of the year I usually wear my green Astros hat. So he's wearing his green jersey. So I guess I have to wait till next year before you have to see my green Astros that I wear every year. So anyway, all right. Real quickly, I just want to go over a couple of things because we have a lot of stuff to get to tonight. Looks like we gained quite a few members this last few months. Lost a few, gained a few, but the one person I think we lost is actually right there. Sam, how you doing, Sammy?
I sent him an email earlier.
Yeah, doing good.
Yeah, so he's actually, kind of with us. He understands that he's with us, but got a few people. I'm not going to go through the names because we got a lot to do tonight. So welcome to all the new members. If this is your first time at the meeting, the first time in a long time you've been to a chapter meeting, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. Mike Vance is a longtime chapter member. He is one of our speakers tonight, and he brought a guest with you, right, Mike?
T-Sean Shannon.
Hi, how you guys doing? Well, good to be here.
So, big baseball fan, maybe?
Yes, big baseball fan.
Okay.
And you still like Mike?
You still like that.
Yeah.
So,
That night.
now, Mike. All right. So, Roger, Tim, it's nice to see y'all again. So, I think I'm right. All right. So again, we have a couple of new members. Lost a few, but that's all right. Let me thank Lou Schiff again for his great presentation last month on attorneys in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Anybody get a chance to look at that book? Yeah, since the last meeting. It's fascinating. Fascinating book. So next month we actually have 2 events regarding the chapter. 2 events. So the first one will occur on April the 19th. Mike, you remember we are having a Houston Babies baseball vintage event at Bayou Bend. We invite everybody to show up on Sunday.
I have to explain because you don't understand.
Of course not. Because go ahead, Mike.
So Joe and I went out to for Family Day at We do.
Sell books and talk about that.
We actually sold a couple books, yeah, made some money.
Right.
Val Ben, if you don't know what it is I'm a Hogg's place. Her daddy was the first Texas-born governor of Texas. And he had a place down at the Warner Hogg in West Columbia. He sold, but he kept the mineral rights because he noticed that the ground was nice.
Start there.
And they second page of oil field in Texas there. And they were knocking at 100 grand a day for income tax over several years. He kept the mineral rights. She built a fairly nice house in the middle of Memorial Park, and she owned the rest of Memorial Park and donated it to the city. So that's her case. So we were out at her house. She lived till 71. But so Joe and I had been out there before, and we did a little film about vintage baseball at the Ronald McDonald House. You can tell them they invited us. And then they invited us to come out again, maybe play vintage baseball. There's only one problem, they don't have enough money to play unless we play like a half field. So that's what we're gonna do. I kind of scoped it out. We can get 9 players out there, but there's a pond in right field, and it's only about 100 feet out there.
Probably hit 100.
So we hit the ball over the fence, we're out. So it's a little bat control, but there's enough for regular bases and the pitch and the deep left field and a few trees out there. But you couldn't put home plate at the other end because you couldn't pitch through the trees. But basically, we're going to play like a half field game. And it's nice because it's the back of the mansion and mansion chairs down at the garden. So there's natural seats there for people to sit on and watch the game. We're on a flat area. So we're going to do that on Sunday, the 19th.
Sunday, April the 19th. That's the next family day, right?
Yeah, so there'll be family day can't get in free. So hopefully we can go out there and set up early and get 2 teams and fun to ride. I don't know. We can make it work. So that's it. It's just going to be a little bit of difference.
Well, from the power I've seen on the team, you won't have any problem.
Wow.
Stevens clean up.
Yeah.
No, or I might even bet. But no, you're right. We don't have a lot of. Well, we do have some. But Joe put them on the other teams, and he let them play for the Red Sox last time.
Hey man, I had 3 hits.
And the team had 5. But anyway, it'll be fun. And if you guys have never been out there, it's quite a show place. Wives will love it. It should be about the time when the Azalea Trail starts, which is I'm not for Eastern Society. It always starts. Well,
Already gone.
I'm a Hawks place. So should be it's a historical place, should be very enjoyable.
Okay, and very quickly, Mike, we're gonna talk more about this next month and next month's meeting. But considering next month's meeting is April 20th, might be a little bit too late. You wanna talk about in May, instead of having a regular meeting, we're gonna go to the Space Cowboys game. So if you want tickets to go to the Space Cowboys game, I forget how they're playing that. Albuquerque Isotopes, is that right?
I don't remember, but it's May 9th, and we do have the $65 discount again, and the meeting room and everything same as last year when Cal's spoke. We just don't have a speaker yet, so we'll work on that and try to get it in the next couple of weeks. But again, for those of y'all who've been, it's a nice place. You get $65, you get the air conditioning, you get the buffet, you get ice cream in the 5th inning, and it's a nice day, and it's a Saturday, and they're giving away something. I think I did ask, but I can't remember what it is, but it's like a ladies' beret or something. I don't know. Your wives will love that too. You ladies like
It's
it's a ponytail cap. I might like that. You can use that too.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll get another beret. I actually got a spray Paris.
That's what it only should have been.
All right. So if you want to go to the Space Cowboys game on May 9th, you have to send you a check or something to Mike.
Yeah, until we get, we have to have 20 people, 20 tickets to make the discount, so we need to get that to them early.
Right. So if you want to go, you can email me and let me know. I'll forward your email to Mike, or you can email Mike or Patrick. Okay.
Sometimes we barely make it, sometimes we have 50 people. But once I get 20, we'll be in.
So if April 19th is, not enough baseball for you, the very next day, April 20th, we're having our chapter meeting. Jude Butler will be here. He'll be online because he's out of state. And he will talk about the Texas Baseball Hall of Fame, his efforts to try to revise the Texas Baseball Hall of Fame. He gave a presentation like this back in, I think last year in Dallas, maybe it was the year before. And he will talk about SABR's brand new committee that he's chaired, the Town Ball Committee. So we might have another guest speaker, maybe Chris. He'll talk about some stuff. So he's going to speak April 20th. That's Jude Butler. So
About the village baseball games, there's not a lot of different.
He's out of town.
Baseball and town.
we'll see. It's pretty.
Sit out there, let him.
See that down to Sunday.
Or he's out of town, he's gonna do it probably.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
These two things right here, you know, when you this.
It's okay, man. You probably got jet lag like I do, so I get it. All right. Anyway, we were talking about this before the meeting. Who should the Astros left fielder be? Final roster will be determined tomorrow, right? Or the day after?
Very long.
Number 44? Yeah, but how many games do you expect out of Jordan? 110?
Oh,
Okay, so besides Jordan, who should the left fielder be? Zach Cole, Joey, Loperfido, or Bryce Matthews?
Loperfido, but Jordan has never got hurt. The field's always swaying the bat. We're stepping on them. Well, yes.
Well, if the side that they put it on and left, that place that Paredes. They can't find a place to put in that. That needs to be in there. Yeah.
So as you think about that, this Thursday at 3:00, we have a due date. If you are interested in entering the Astros chapter 2026 Larry Dierker chapter Astros win contest, you need to send your prediction to her. And Herb is real quickly going to remind everybody what is required for your prediction.
First of all, I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody's email at this point. So I'm going to read out the people that have already sent me their predictions. If you don't hear your name, you send it to me, let me know. Joe Thompson, Greg Moore, Carl Ingram, Wayne Roberts, Ira Levinson, Bob Stevens, Kobe Ferris, Philip Boudreau, Michael Vance, Jeffrey Beermeister, Scott Marzilla, Carl Owens, Phyllis Byron, myself, Ken Lilly, and Chris Chestnut. Anybody not hear their name and send me one? You still okay? I'll fight first.
What's your email?
HCWHALLEY@sbcglobal.net.
Okay.
There's a link in
And the time it's due is 3:00, no later than 3:00 on Thursday.
And again,
And if you need to make changes, I already told Joe he can make changes.
I did mine early because I'm like, man, I want to change
You're
something.
welcome to do that.
So again, what are the send the Astros win total for 2026 and the tiebreakers, which are
Hunter Brown wins. Cecilia Imai wins, and Fronder Valdez.
yes, and we know Romberg's no longer an Astro, but we took other people out there. Okay,
He
so
may be by the trade deadline. He may be back by the trade deadline.
maybe back by the trade deadline. I don't know. So,
Verlander never could quit us.
right. Okay.
Want to go ahead and click, guys, there's Spider Bells, hand it over, let's go ahead and.
Also, well, do y'all know that we're having the chapter is also having its annual fantasy baseball league, and Bob,
Over to you, Bob.
Bob and Cam, do we already have all the people enrolled for the fantasy baseball? That's the draft is tomorrow night. That's why I'm asking.
Patrick, running, it says there's 16 players, participants.
16 teams, sir. Okay.
It is 7 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay. I did a practice draft yesterday, so hopefully I'll do better this year than I normally do. But we'll see.
The eye of the draft.
You know, I could just throw everything in ChatGPT and you come up with the best.
Might get the 27 Yankees coming.
I'll be the 27 Yankees. So. Okay, and don't forget to register for SABR 54 in Cleveland. Hope I'm not there by myself. Anybody planning on going to Cleveland? All right, come on, it's Cleveland. I mean, you had Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you know. So, there we go. So, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is right down the street from the hotel we're staying at. So,
They got the Guardians in the bridge.
yeah, they got the Guardians inside the stadium and on both sides of the bridge. So,
Sure.
what?
When is it?
Like it's 7th,
I'm not sure.
August
It's an actual.
29th through August 2nd. July 29th through August 2nd. Okay, that's enough. I've talked so much already. What's that? Okay. First of all, our main speaker tonight was supposed to be Jimmy Price of Astros Future. So this is another reason I'm very tired, but we love Jimmy, so I'm not going to say nothing. So I want Jimmy to come talk to us every year. Jimmy sent me an email on Thursday. Now, mind you, Greece is 8 hours ahead. I'm in Greece on a learning abroad. Oh my God, I apologize so much. I can't be the speaker right now. Because of work. Okay, something important came up on the night. So needless to say, I scrambled for the next 24 hours, 24 to 36 hours to try to find a speaker. And I remembered Rob. Rob gave a hilarious presentation. No pressure here, Rob. But I just remember he was a great presenter at the winter meeting, the Bill Gilbert Winter Meeting. And I'm terrible with names, Rob. How do you say your last name?
Sheinkopf.
Yes. See,
Close enough.
Sheinkopf.
Yeah.
Rob Sheinkopf. Rob is originally from Syracuse. Okay, he's a member of SABR. Presented his research over many years to different SABR chapters, the Sports Literature Association, and to 9, the History and Culture of Baseball, and at the Cooperstown Symposium at the Baseball Hall of Fame, which I've also presented there. So, great speakers there. So, Rob is the author and editor. The book he's going to talk about tonight is the second book. But Rob is the author and editor of Hey Mom, Want to Have a Catch. Okay?
Want to have what?
Want to Have a Catch. Yeah. An anthology baseball stories honoring parents who encourage or simply put up with their child's love for and obsession with our national pastime. Okay? But he's going to talk about his next book, Baseball Impostors. And I'm going to let Rob kind of explain what all this is. Rob and I have a connection. Both of us, at least at one time, worked at the University of Houston. Believe it or not. So where you spent several years there. And I'll let him go through that. But Rob is retired now, moved to San Francisco, where he found his dream job. Well, he retired, moved to San Francisco, where he found his dream job as a luxury suites concierge for the Giants. Okay? Keeping a diary of his first daily activities, he wrote and presented a paper, My Year in the Big Leagues, at the International Conference of Sports Literature in France. Limoges? Is that the name of the city? Limoges?
University of Limoges. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I spent less than 24 hours in France. Give me a break. March down. All right, Rob and his wife, Lisa, now providing a loving home for their dog, Bochy. Bochy. In Las Vegas, as well as in Ponte Vedra, Florida, dividing their time between the two as they trade intense heat and traffic jams for uncomfortable humidity and strange, unidentifiable bugs at various times of the year to be with their 5-year-old granddaughter Molly and her mom and dad. Rob never played Major League Baseball, but he has met a lot of guys who claim that. And on that note, Rob, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Buddy,
Thank
Rob.
you.
Rob Steiner.
Thanks to all of you. And Joe, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for getting in touch with me at the last minute. Glad I could accommodate you. I have 2 new books that were published this past year, and I'd like to talk briefly about my first book. It was released just a year ago, last March. And for the past couple of weeks, it has been #1 on Amazon as a bestseller for several baseball categories. While it's no longer #1 as of this morning, I think it's still doing well enough and worthy of a brief shout out. Hey, Mom, want to have a catch? Readers tell me it brings back memories from their childhood and stirs up some emotions, stories about their dad, sometimes their mom, who taught them to love baseball, or who simply put up with their obsession for the game. It's an anthology with 49 stories. 8 of them are my own. 41 are from contributing authors, terrific storytellers from all walks of life, some whose names you might recognize. Others, like myself, are just regular people telling their stories. Some interesting themes emerged as I edited stories from contributors and as I wrote my own. Several tell of their memory of their mother or their father taking them to see their first professional baseball game. Some tell of a parent buying them their first glove. There's one story by a guy who describes how he found the silver lining in never having played catch with his dad. And one of my own stories tells of the trouble I got into skipping school with my older brother to watch a World Series game on a small, grainy, black and white television while my parents were at work. And it wasn't just any World Series game. It was October 8th, 1956. Well, more than 80 years separate the youngest and the oldest contributing author. My youngest contributor, Marianne, is 17 years old. She tells of a memorable road trip with her father where she saw her first major league game. It was at the Field of Dreams in Dyersville, Iowa. It's a great story. My oldest contributing author, Millie Kennedy, will be 99 years old in August, we hope. And she tells of spending a Sunday afternoon in 1931 at Babe Ruth's apartment on Central Park West in New York. Now, I've known Millie Kennedy for more than 50 years, and I can verify her story, having heard it for the past 50 years. And there are stories by the truly lucky ones, those whose mom or dad played catch with them in their backyard. And most important, the stories about the conversations inspired by merely throwing a ball back and forth. These true stories often bring a tear, sometimes a smile, but almost always that long forgotten fond memory of mom or dad. Usually putting up with our obsession for baseball, but sometimes actually sharing the passion we have for the game. Now, my new book, Baseball Impostors. And you probably all say, oh yeah, I've got that book at home. Well, crack it open and read it. It's way different from the first one. It was just released December 29th, and it's about grown men who falsely claim to have played Major League Baseball. These guys are victims of what we now call Eddie Sisson syndrome. And before we get much further, I should tell you where that name comes from. Most, if not all of us, have seen Field of Dreams, very popular movie that came out in the late 1980s. It was based upon Shoeless Joe, a book by the late W.P. Kinsella, and in that book, a fictional character, an old man named Eddie Sissons living in a small Iowa town, claims to be the oldest living Chicago Cub. Everyone in that small Iowa town knew and respected Eddie. His identity was wrapped up in being the oldest living Chicago Cub. Sadly, when the movie was made, though, Eddie's character didn't make the cut, and his celebrity comes from Shoeless Joe, not from Field of Dreams. Well, in the book, Eddie's lie is exposed. He never played for the Cubs. He never played professional baseball, but he did inspire a syndrome. Bill Kinsella mentions Eddie Sissons and the syndrome that he inspired in many of his other books and writings. And in 1989, I co-wrote a paper and presented it at the Sport Literature Association annual conference in Florence, Oregon, where I met and had the good fortune of spending a few days with Bill Kinsella shortly after Field of Dreams was released. And as a side note, Bill and I actually played a game of catch together, which proves it's always a good idea to bring a ball and glove with you wherever you go, because you never know. And that brings me to how and why I pursued this topic in the first place. Well, my journey began in 1985 when I wrote a master's thesis based upon interviews I had conducted with 53 former Major League Baseball players who retired before free agency. Another side note, I just recently found that there are only 4 of them who are still alive from that group. So going back and doing a follow-up project, never going to happen. My research focused on how athletes prepared for life after baseball. And this was during a time when very few professional baseball retirees were financially secure enough to just stop working, forcing them to seriously plan for a second career. Among those former major league players that I interviewed was a high-profile, well-known local businessman who later proved to be an imposter, someone whose false representation of his past was really disturbing to me. 7 pages of my master's thesis are based on lies. I talk about the confrontation that this guy and I had in the book. It was very unpleasant. And this is where it all began. Through actual cases with names changed to protect the guilty, I cover this topic with a sense of purpose, but also with a sense of humor, sense of contempt and outrage, and sometimes with a sense of compassion for the too many families that find out the truth only when trying to verify facts for an obituary. Over the years, I've collected hundreds of examples of seemingly normal guys lying about having played Major League Baseball. People send me newspaper clippings and tell me stories that they've heard firsthand ever since that first paper that I delivered in 1989. I was to find that the discovery of patient zero, the guy who lied to me as I was conducting interviews for my master's thesis, was just a tip of the iceberg. It had sparked my curiosity about why some people engaged in this kind of deception, leading to over 4 decades of research revealing that baseball imposters are all too common. A partial list of my personal collection includes pretenders from cab drivers, who, by the way, will probably never see you again, so why not lie about it, to physical therapists, financial advisors, teachers, coaches, from retail store clerks to husbands and boyfriends of colleagues at work, from parents of students I encountered on my job to job applicants and college admission applicants, to former neighbors and friends of current neighbors, and so much more. Most people are shocked to learn how widespread this syndrome is. And in many cases, it reminds them of a story they themselves were told by a colleague at work, by a new friend, maybe even a family member. A story that now, looking back on it, just doesn't ring true. I presented this topic dozens of times over the years at academic conferences, civic clubs, on podcasts, at book clubs, SABR meetings, even at the Baseball Hall of Fame, almost without exception. Following each presentation I've given during the discussion period where I encourage attendees to tell their story, almost every time I hear some pretty outrageous stories about obvious Eddie Sisson syndrome cases from everyday civilians like you and me. I heard some really crazy stories last week or the week before from the Luke Easter chapter that I'd never even dreamed of before. But I'm sure this chapter I think has the potential to even do better. But I have 3 stories to share with you that I'd like to read from the book, carefully chosen for this audience. The first one's a fan favorite. It never misses, but it makes me mad each and every time I tell it, and I share it with an audience. It just brings me right back to the 1980s. And the title of this chapter, I'll give it away right away. It's "You Work for Greg Nettles?" All right, that's a title. Through a class I took at the University of Central Florida, I met a guy who told me his boss played third base for the New York Yankees in the 1970s. "You work for Greg Nettles?" I asked, great excitement being a Yankee fan. "No," he replied, "I work for Bill Tischler. He's a chiropractor. He played in the World Series for the New York Yankees in 1978. I wanted to say, no, he didn't, but I didn't. Dr. Tischler was the Yankees' starting third baseman for several years and retired from baseball to go back to school and become a chiropractor. Sure. There's pictures of him all over our office in his Yankee uniform and everything. He even wears his World Series ring to work. Well, by the way, the ring is from 1978 when they beat the Dodgers. And he had a great series. I said, I gotta see this to believe it. So I called, knowing the 1970s Yankees as well as I did, I immediately knew the story was bogus. And I called Dr. Tischler's office to talk about his fake baseball career. His secretary said he was too busy to see me and he didn't want to talk about it. So I waited a few minutes, disguised my voice, and called back, making an appointment as if I were interested in becoming a patient. They offered a first visit free so they could assess your chiropractic needs and then sell me on regular visits. The scams from this guy never end. I said, perfect, sign me up. I made an appointment with Dr. Tischler, and I couldn't wait for my visit to discuss his lies. The office photos were stunning. They included 2 professionally produced, beautifully framed posters of Tischler in pinstripes swinging for the fences. Several smaller pictures showed him taking ground balls in the infield. Other framed photos showed him standing next to Yankee icons Roy White and Mel Stottlemyre. They looked to me like he had attended a Yankee fantasy camp, and this elaborate charade took on a life of its own. Well, here's a spoiler alert. I was to find out that's exactly what happened. Well, when it was my turn to see the doctor, my name was called, and the receptionist escorted me to an examining room down the hall. I was instructed to remove my clothes and put on a patient gown. I didn't follow her orders. I wasn't really going to be a patient. I was there to ask questions. Plus, I hate those gowns. Even when doctor appointments are legit. So the doctor entered a few minutes later, visibly annoyed that I was still in my street clothes. So I confronted him right away so he could be angry at me for reasons other than not following his nurse's directions. Things got heated right away. "How dare you come into my office and accused me of lying, he said, flashing his World Series ring in front of my face. Who do you think you are? Well, I said, that's a good question, but that's for another time. He thought that would set me straight. It didn't. Anyone could buy a World Series ring or have one commissioned. The ring itself proved nothing. Greg Nettles, as we all know, is a well-known celebrity. Maybe assuming his identity instead of that from a bench warmer on that Yankee team wasn't the smartest thing Dr. Tischler could have done. The obvious truth, Dr. Bill Tischler never played pro baseball, let alone Major League Baseball, never played third base for the Yankees, and never played in a World Series game. And anybody who knew anything about baseball would know he was lying. In fact, just spend 5 minutes with this guy and you'd know he's lying about something. Quote from me, did you legally change your name from Greg Nettles to Bill Tischler? I finally asked him. My sarcasm and badgering and snarkiness finally wore him down, and he unhappily relented, admitting that, yes, he did in fact attend a Yankees fantasy camp, and that's where the idea came to him to pass himself off as a former professional baseball player. You see, watching every Columbo episode ever made paid off. There's just one more thing, Dr. Tischler. Are you really a chiropractor? No, I didn't have the nerve to actually ask him that, but I thought about it. And I wonder what he would have said. I don't know. Anyway, his answer was, it's good for my business. He told me without any remorse. It's an acceptable marketing tactic. Lots of people do it. There's nothing wrong with it. My patients want a doctor who's athletic, who's fit, who's a role model. And I said, the sad thing is you could have been all three. You didn't have to lie about having played for the New York Yankees or for any baseball team. Admitting to this elaborate fraud didn't seem to pain him in any way. It just annoyed him that he got caught. He felt justified and told me he owed no one an apology, certainly not me. The way he saw it, if his patients chose to believe he played for the Yankees, that was up to them. Well, I couldn't hide my disdain. I stood up and said, you, sir, are no role model. You're a fraud and you should be ashamed of yourself. And I ran the hell out of there. I really felt my life was being threatened the whole time. I mean, he was a big guy. It looked like he could have been an athlete and maybe a murderer. So there's that. Can I go on to the next one, or is anybody having trouble hearing me? Or do you want me to stop? If you had enough. But this next one is, remember James Caan, the actor? All right, I have 3 minutes about him. He appeared on NBC's Tonight Show on November 18th, 1977, plugging a new movie, but spent most of his time talking about his personal athletic achievements, mostly bull riding. During the conversation with host Johnny Carson, James Caan also discussed his baseball career, his dreams, and near glory. I guess 50% of the American male population over 40, he said, they put themselves to sleep dreaming that they just struck out the New York Yankees. So I always wanted to be a professional athlete, end quote. I played a little AAA baseball, Never quite good enough to make it to the show. And that was his answer to Johnny, why he didn't quite make it as a big leaguer. So he played a little AAA baseball. Well, these comments were offensive to me, and I bet they are to you as well, for a variety of reasons, not the least of which, because we know it takes tremendous dedication, skill, and commitment, among other attributes, for most ball players to actually reach AAA level. Diminishing that level of play is insulting to those many thousand minor leaguers who never make it to AAA, let alone the big leagues. And Kahn claimed in later interviews to have been a semi-pro infielder. Not sure what that means. It's still open for interpretation, but what we do know is that none of it was true. Kahn did attempt to play football at Michigan State University, but he failed to make the team. Nowhere in my research about the actor does there appear any reference to his having played at any level of professional baseball, semi or otherwise, let alone a little AAA baseball. Kahn was Sonny Corleone in The Godfather. He was novelist Paul Sheldon in Misery. He played in many of the greatest movies of his time. He was Brian Piccolo in Brian's Song, for Christ's sakes. And if you haven't seen the 1975 classic Rollerball, put this book down right now and find it somewhere streaming on your very own television. No need to thank me. Just watch Rollerball and then get back to the book. My point is he was an accomplished, great actor. And I can hear some of you screaming, or at least thinking, what about this movie or that movie in which James Caan starred? And you didn't mention them. Well, hey, that's not the point here. We're not debating which movie was James Caan's best movie. Do that on your own time. My point is he did not need to make up a minor league baseball career in which he was so close to making it to the show. We loved him even without that reference, and we might even respect him more without it. But this Eddie Sisson syndrome is a powerful force, and it grips even the most unlikely victims in its wake. Caan did, however, maintain connections to the game. The lifelong Yankee fan coached his son's Little League team during a break in acting. And that appears to be the extent of his baseball experience. And now the last story I'm going to read is called Not Everyone is a Liar. I want to leave you on a positive note here. Because it does take a lot out of you, doesn't it? Whenever I saw Hal King around campus, I was director of admissions at the University of Central Florida, and I walked around campus a lot, and I would see this guy, Hal King. And whenever I saw him, he greeted me with a big wave and a friendly smile, and we'd stop and exchange pleasantries. And it was a consistently positive experience, well worth the time and effort in the hot sun. And he always seemed to be in a happy mood in spite of the brutal heat and humidity he endured when his work assignment called for being outdoors. Hal was a painter in the maintenance department at UCF, where I worked for many, many years. And one day he walked past my office carrying a tall ladder, apparently on the job. He did a double take and stopped in to say hello and say, oh, I didn't know you had an office in this building. And yeah. And he noticed all my baseball decor, and he casually told me he played professional baseball. When asked more about it, he revealed that as a teenager, he played for the Indianapolis Clowns in the Negro League. We had more fun than any circus clowns, he told me. He also casually mentioned he played for the Houston Astros and the Cincinnati Reds and the Atlanta Braves and some other teams. It sounded legitimate, but I had been burned so many times already, I didn't know what to believe anymore. And while he looked like an athlete, that topic never came up previously in our brief conversations around campus. I immediately looked him up. I had the baseball encyclopedia open in my office, ready for this kind of thing all the time. I immediately looked him up as he watched me flipping through pages in the Big Mac. And sure enough, there was his name, Harold Hal King. He actually was a backup catcher to Johnny Bench. Who would have thought a nicer, humbler, good guy than Hal King would be hard to find? For years after that encounter, Hal would put his ladder up against the wall, walk past the secretary, who literally served as a gatekeeper at the front desk. But he'd breeze past her and enter my office without notice. It didn't matter if I was in a meeting or on the phone, if I was with a prospective student or their family and just actually working. Didn't matter to him. Hal would quietly march a colleague or two into my office without warning, show them page 1223, where I kept a bookmark to speed up the transaction. Hal was just so proud to have his name and brief baseball statistical recap in print. He didn't know the book existed. He was so thrilled to be a part of it. And I was proud of Hal. Always felt that this was a guy who never got the recognition he deserved, and people would rarely stop and have conversation with him. I don't know why I did, but I did. He always greeted me with a broad smile as he pointed out the reference to him and my Big Mac. And he loved showing his colleagues in the maintenance department that he was real. He did play Major League Baseball. Hal and I naturally lost touch after I left UCF when I moved to Los Angeles and eventually to Houston. I was sad to learn that Hal had died at the age of 75 in 2019. And so it's kind of a happy story, but it ends, I didn't realize it ends kind of sad. But okay, he's still alive and he's happy and he's living on the beach. I made that part up just so he could be, pleased with the ending. So anyway, I want to say one last thing before I open it up for questions. Um, I'm frequently asked, so I'm going to give you your first question. Frequently asked, why baseball? Why not football? Why not basketball? Why do you focus on baseball? Well, I'll give you four names: Freddie Patek, Jose Altuve, Joe Morgan, Kirby Puckett. Those are four guys that are shorter than me, and I'm a little guy, and they all played in the big leagues. Some still do, as you know. And you can't really say that kind of stuff and say, yeah, I was in the NBA. Okay, I'm only 5'6" and I don't look like I can throw or catch a ball. But, I think in baseball, you can kind of stretch that and think you can get away with it, but you can't. Not with guys like us, you and me, kind of making sure that we catch every last liar out there. So what do you have any questions or you want to move on to your next uh your next agenda item?
Anybody have a baseball and soccer story or a question for him?
Doesn't the internet kind of shut it down now? Oh, sorry, brother.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Rob, have you ever thought about doing a documentary?
No, I'm an old man and I haven't if I was 20 years younger I might have. And I will tell you there's so many other great stories that are in the book. Obviously, I'm trying to sell a book, why not? But so many other great stories that I couldn't fit in and would be perfect for a documentary. So if you're a documentary filmmaker, let's you and I talk offline.
Go ahead.
Doesn't the internet kind of cut down on people pretending to be old baseball players? You can look it up on your phone now at a bar.
That's such a great point. But you would think that people then would no longer think they can get away with it, but they're that stupid that they don't realize you can get your phone out, look up baseballreference.com, and you can actually look up their minor league statistics.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I've done so much research on those who are lying about playing minor league ball. And drilling down and making phone calls and finally getting to the truth. Every now and then you say, "Wow, he did play." I can't believe it. But that's so rare. It's not the rule, it's the exception. And that's really too bad. But your point is well taken. You would think that in this day and age, where baseball, nothing in our society, and here's a quote from my friend Tim Wiles from the Baseball Hall of Fame, nothing in our society is tracked more thoroughly than records about guys who played baseball. I know I'm butchering it, but his point is you can't get away with it.
Yeah.
Rob, I have a question.
Okay,
And again, thanks again for doing this.
glad to.
The question I have is, have you ever run across anyone who said that, yeah, my great grandfather or my grandfather played with, I don't know, King Kelly or something like that, any of those kind of crazy stories, and they found out later he's just full of it or whatever?
Yeah, I was hoping to find one of my favorites, but I'll just tell you about it. When I was at UCF, my job, part of the job of admissions director was to determine whether or not a student who had flunked out should be let back in and on probation, given another chance. And I had a guy, as he walked into my office, he said, "Oh, you're a baseball fan." He looked around, he said, "My father played for the Dodgers." Now, and I was like right in the midst of writing a paper for one of the people I wrote about this stuff. And so I looked at him and I said, "Really, when?" And he gave me some date. And I said, "You see that book over there on that stand? It's the baseball encyclopedia. If your father is in that book, if his name is in there, having played Major League Baseball, I'm going to let you back in school. What do you think of that?" Without an interview, without any question. And I knew that the integrity of our university was not in any way at stake because I knew he was lying. I could tell. And I went over and I looked up the players. He wasn't under player. He wasn't under pitcher. And I said, "Your dad didn't play Major League Baseball." And he went through the 5 stages of anger, of denial, it was kind of funny. And then he looks and goes, "Oh, wait a minute. He wouldn't be in that book. He played for the Brooklyn Dodgers." He did not get readmitted. So, yes, I mean, that kind of thing happens all the time. And usually I get a letter about it or an email nowadays. And people have seen me as the resident expert on this. It's just an obsession. But the fact is, I've seen it personally too often to know that it's odd. It's way, way, way too common.
Go ahead, Mike.
I told you I produced documentaries for you lately.
He's still on that. Okay. Okay. Can I ask you guys a question? Raise your hand if you are a former Major League Baseball player. Okay. Just want to get that straight.
One sec. One sec.
That's the test, right?
Well, Rob, I just have to say, again, thank you for the last minute, for, helping me, bailing us out, bailing this chapter out. Not to say that I would never think of you as the main speaker anyway, but your name came across. I was eventually going to ask you anyway, but I'm certainly glad you were able to come through for us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Oh,
Your book?
you want-
Amazon.
Where's your book at?
Where's your book at? Your books.
Ah.
Where are your books at?
Thank you for asking. They're both available on Amazon. And I will tell you, I've lowered the price on this one to my cost, $10. Where can you buy a book these days for $10? Well, on Amazon, you could buy this book for $10. And the other one is also, I got to tell you, if it was $50, it would be a bargain, but you can get it for, I don't know, $16, something like that. And
Anybody
they're going
want
fast.
to double check? Go ahead.
Shop Amazon.
No, I was asking if anybody wanted to double check that on Amazon.
Oh, yeah. See, there'll be a lot of that kind of humor going on, so I'm glad that it's over. But I will tell you this, seeing this club in action makes me wish I had never left Houston, because I'd be a member of this club. Well, you probably wouldn't have me, but if you would have me, I'd be a member. Yes. Mhm.
You have to be a former major leaguer to be a member of this club.
Thank you so much. Really
Thanks.
appreciate this.
Gloria has a question real fast.
What
Okay.
was that? What was the last name of Al, the real player?
The real player, Hal King, he was a left-handed hitting catcher. And he had a few moments of brilliance in his career. He he actually came to bat. He had a home run that was still looked at as kind of a turning point in the season for someone. I can't remember. I think the Braves. It's been a while. I've been at this a long time. Come on, cut me a break here, will you?
All right, Rob. Thank you
This
very
is
much.
fun. Thank you for having me. Take care.
Here. All right, everybody. We have Mike Vance here with us. He was talking about, well, I'll let you do it. Everybody knows Mike, right?
Take this in for.
Yeah, Mike.
All of them, all of them. So I was going to just talk about a trip that we made to Winter League Ball in Puerto Rico. And I will talk about that. But I have two other things to talk about. And I'll get the first one out of the way. Joe, when I said, and I also have a big announcement to make, Joe goes, is it about the Colt Stadium historical marker? And I said, no, I haven't heard anything about that. 2 days after I told Joe that, I got a message about the Colt Stadium historical marker. Since then, it is in Houston. So it has been fabricated. The marker is at NRG Park. And Wednesday at 10 a.m., I have a meeting with the people at NRG Park via Zoom. And hopefully we will pin down a date for the unveiling. So I will let everyone know. That, for those of y'all that don't know the story, I used to be on the Harris County Historical Commission. I moved away. I'm now on the Austin County Historical Commission. And the professional ballparks, is it 5? Am I forgetting one? 5 professional baseball stadiums in Houston history. I'm sorry, was that right? Or 6? Anyway, I've done markers, historical markers for all of them except for Buff Stadium. The reason for that being that the ownership of the land is still in flux and the landowner has to sign off on the markering. And we don't want to put it in the TxDOT right of way because that would be right on the feeder road of I-45. And probably within 3 months, some drunk would run into it and knock it down. So I want it up, by a little further in, closer to where the field actually was. But the other ones,
Which one?
Buff Stadium.
Well, that's that.
So I have done markers for, 4 others. Fairgrounds Park, which was the first professional baseball park at Travis and McGowan. West End Park, which is mostly under the Pierce elevated right now, but the marker is where the outfield was. I did Colt Stadium that will be put in soon, and I did the Astros. So Buff Stadium's the one that's missing, and then we will have markers on all 5.
Is the unveiling, when you announce it, where it's gonna be, what it's gonna be, is the public gonna be able to?
Oh, yeah, that's the whole point. And this is financed by SABR. So SABR National does these grants, and I think, Bob, we were the second year. We applied the first year and did not get one. So we reapplied the second year and we did. And the marker process is very slow. So it was just about 2 years from when the marker got approved and when it actually showed up, fabricated and so that's announcement number 1.
Question, who figures the wording of the marker?
That's a great question. When you do the marker, and not to get too far into the weeds about this, but Harris County Historical Commission has always prided itself on putting together great marker applications. And that's where I learned to do this. So the application for Colt Stadium is 21 pages long. And it's research. There's, in addition to that 21 pages, there's another 4 pages of footnotes telling where all this stuff comes from. And in the marker process, there is an overview that tells you what the town was like at the time. And then there's a long narrative. The last thing is called significance. And when you write it properly, you're writing that as what you hope the marker text will be. And then it gets sent off to Austin to the Texas Historical Commission. And they hand it off to some intern.
And the intern goes and changes it and sends it back. And then you go back and forth with them and go, no, this is ruined the meaning. This is not true, the way you phrased it, all of that. This one was not a bad process. I have been through some where you go, none of this is right. Can we just do what I said? And usually it gets resolved. But this one, I think there were only 4 things we had to change. So that's how it works. So before I get to the next announcement, I want to tell you about Puerto Rico. I was thinking Mark Warnick was going to be here tonight, but myself and a high school buddy decided that we were going on a baseball trip to Cuba. And we had booked everything and paid our money. And then at the last minute, it got canceled because thanks to the insane Cuba policy, and I don't mean that as a political statement, just a fact, they are starved for everything. And that apparently includes the gasoline to run their mosquito fogging trucks. So consequently, they had a major outbreak of dengue fever right at the time we were supposed to go this past November. So we hear at the last minute that we can't go on this trip. Well, actually, my buddy and I said, we're still willing to go, but everybody else on the trip said, no way. So trip's canceled. So for 2 days, we were both really bummed out. And then it occurred to me, they played winter ball in other places. So at the last minute, I put together a trip for the 2 of us to go to Puerto Rico. So we flew to San Juan. One of the little ironies of this is we knew good and well that Cuba had power outages all the time. So they told you, pack flashlights, that's a must. Well, we're going to an American territory, American Commonwealth. We're not going to need this stuff. Yeah, well, apparently, ever since Hurricane Marie, Puerto Rico also has power outages all the time. So we arrived, the one splurge we made on this was to get a nice place to stay in Old San Juan. And we arrive and there's no power. And that's fine, it's still the afternoon, surely this will come back on. And we're talking to the guy for this property management who we never had met in person. And we got into the place with a lockbox and a code, so we still haven't met him. And he's like, yeah, it's been out since this morning. They're working on it. It'll be back in town. Well, then it's dark. And there's still no power. And so we go out to eat because 2 streets over, there's power. And we come back and it's still dark. So we finally have to go stay at another place, which was kind of well, no, not kind of, it was a seedy hotel that we ended up at. And we stay there, the power finally comes back on, and Tuesday, we move back to the place we had paid for and find out that my buddy's, there's 2 bedrooms, in his room, the air conditioner doesn't work. So we called the guy again. Oh yeah, we'll get somebody out there. Well, the short version of this story is his air conditioner was never fixed for 5 days. We never met the guy who eventually quit responding to any of our messages whatsoever. But we did see great baseball. And we started at Hiram B. Thorne Stadium, which is the only one that I had ever heard of because it's the most famous one in South Florida. So we go out there the first night. There are 2 teams that share that ballpark. And one of them is the Senadores of San Juan. And that was who we saw the first night. And we go out there, and let me back up a second on the Uber ride from the airport to Old San Juan. The cab driver, when we got in there's got a Washington Nationals cap laying on the dashboard of his car. So we start talking to this guy, and he said, yeah, he goes, my son, and Rob left. And so otherwise I was going to bring this right back to him because it was our cab driver. And he said, my son plays for Caguas, for one of the teams. And he's been in the Nationals organization, and he was in, before that, the Mets organization. He played Tidewater. And I looked the guy up and it was for real. And his dad was driving the Uber that brought us into San Juan. So you're thinking, this has got to be a good omen for a good baseball trip. When our Uber driver, his son, plays professional ball. So he had said, I asked what kind of crowds we get at these games. And he said, not much until he gets to the playoffs. Well, not much was an understatement. Here in Beathorn Stadium holds 12,000 people. And it's a toss up whether this room or that stadium had a bigger crowd. So we learned really quickly that we could get whatever we wanted seat wise, and we could have a section to ourselves. So we asked for the box seats, and they're like, yes, $8 a piece or something. And we go in and we sit down. Not only do we have one section, there's nobody in either section on either side of us. The one drawback is they had an announcer that was roving. He had a microphone and he was from like some rock station in San Juan, and he's roaming around and he is a guy from radio. So he thinks that the slightest pause, the slightest moment of silence is death. So the entire time he's walking around and yelling into this microphone. So that was, kind of a large downside to this. So the next night we go back to the ballpark again, and it's Santurce, the other team that shares that stadium. And Santurce has a following. So they're instead of 80 people in there, there's probably 3,000 people in there. And it's starting to get a little fun. They have a different announcer, different radio station, not quite as constant. So it's improving a little bit, but the ball game is terrific. And Santurce is playing Carolina that night, which is a suburb of San Juan. And they apparently don't like each other. Come to find out, and I vaguely remember that Puerto Rico is big into basketball. So all of these towns have not only a baseball team, but a basketball team, and they develop these rivalries. So this is like Houston and Dallas. They don't like each other. They had two, not only bench clearing, but bullpen clearing. Wow. And I will not use the word brawl because nobody touched anybody. But there's a lot of staring and a lot of, that kind of thing. So we left that game and we're thinking, this is all right. So the next night we're going to Caguas, which is another suburb. And we get down there and that ballpark's fantastic. And they don't have the loud, obnoxious announcer. And we find a place down the left field line that you can sit out there. We're the only customers. There's all these tables, and there's a little palapa that you can go up and order your food and your beer. And we're drinking, most of them had a local Puerto Rico beer called the Medalla Light. And you get those, they come in, I think, a 10-ounce can. So you order doble, which is 2 10-ounce cans. And if you're really adventurous, you can order 3 at a time, and they pour those all into the joint glass. Well, we're sticking to doble because we're, civilized. So we sit out there and we're drinking our beer and we're eating our food. And it's just, at this point, we're starting to get into that island kind of, this is great. And it dawns on me, part of what makes it great, it's real baseball. It is, you don't care about any of these teams. You have no stake in this game at all. You're watching the game of baseball because it's a great game. There are stolen bases. There are bunts. Haven't seen those in a while. There are triples. There are all kinds of plays that you used to see in the 80s, and it's really, I'm starting to really get used to all this. The players that play in that winter ball, the vast majority of them are from Puerto Rico. But there are a lot of guys that have played minor league ball their whole career, had a little bit of time up in the show, but not a lot. But then you see people like Christian Vasquez, who was playing for one of the teams. And this is a guy that just finished a 2-year contract that paid him $34 million. And yet he's down there playing winter ball for the sake of playing winter ball in his home, you know? So the following night we go to Carolina, and that is Roberto Clemente's hometown. Now, first of all, the league itself is named Roberto Clemente Winter League Baseball. So that's the name of the league. So, I mean, he is the guy. But when you get to the stadium at Carolina, there is a statue taller than this ceiling of him out front, and you do your obligatory posing next to the statue of Clemente. And you go in at that particular place, and there are pictures. It was the first time I had seen pictures of all the guys that had played winter ball in Puerto Rico. And there's, at that particular place, I didn't recognize any of the names, but the following day, we rented a car and drove to the very far west end of the island to Mayaguez. And at Mayaguez, they had pictures of people that had played there, like Sandy Koufax and Hank Aaron and Willie Mays and all of these guys. And you're like, okay, well, that's different. But it was that time when they would send players from the big leagues to go get a little seasoning, or you want to work on something, you go to winter ball. And all of these guys had played there. So the history of it was starting to really come along. Mayaguez was a lot of fun. The town was we did not really care, but we had stayed in San Juan for, like I said, 6 days, and we Ubered down to the suburbs. But now we had our own car, and we got out there, and the town itself was not great. The ballpark was fantastic, probably the best we've been to. So the last day, on a Sunday, we drove to Ponce, which is the south side of the island. And it is the only old ballpark. It dates back, when I walked in, my first thought was old Cleveland Municipal Stadium. It had that kind of industrial sort of architecture to it. And it was great. We're there on a Sunday afternoon. It was all the other games were night games. And we got to see the sun go down. So you get that twilight in the ballpark, which is just fantastic, watching the lights come on. Pudge Rodriguez was in the stands. We again had for the first time, we had somebody else in our section. And that pissed me off. So we moved over a section, and then there's one of the guys that was in that first section who is standing in the front row with his back to the field, telling stories to try to impress his date. So we moved down another section. So we get, because we're used to this at this point. To say we're spoiled, we'd always had our own section. Why don't we get our own section now? Come on, we paid a good $16. So we end up sitting down there. There's a guy and his kid that are sitting in the front row. And it's just, again, it's like real baseball. Pudge is sitting over on the other side. We always tried to get on the third base side. And Pudge is over behind first base. And nobody's bothering him. I don't know if everybody on the island has already gotten his autograph, what the deal is. Nobody is saying a word to Pudge. So we watched the game, and the high point, and I'll say it anyway. To me, one of the high points was there is the guy and his kid. Like I said, we're down by left field. The left fielder, who I had never heard of, catches a ball and throws this laser to the plate to get the runner who had tagged at third. And spontaneously, because again, I don't know these people, I got no dog in this hunt at all. Spontaneously, I'm like, yeah, great play. The guy that's over there with his kid looks at me and makes eye contact, and it's kind of, yeah, like Yeah, you're bonding over baseball. So that was really kind of the coolest thing on the entire trip. I'm going to save the last part of that story for a good reason. Because it is in this book. This book just came out. And by just, I mean tomorrow. Tomorrow is the release day. And I already had this appearance booked before, this all came together. But my guest here is T-Shawn Shannon. And the name of the book is Comedians Talking Baseball. Hearing Rob talk about some of the stuff that he talked about was interesting. To get to the publication of this book was about a 42-year journey. And it was an idea. I lived in a townhome out off of Vance and Westheimer, more or less, with two other comics in the mid-'80s. And we sat around drinking, I'm guessing, and came up with the idea to do a book called A Haul of Some Pretty Damn Good Baseball Players. And it was like the next tier down from the Hall of Fame. And we talked about it a lot. I even had a notebook that we made notes of who should be in it. And nothing, it went nowhere. And a few years after that, somebody came up with the same idea and ran with it. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I kind of hung on to the idea and finally thought, well, why don't I just talk to all these old comedy friends I had when we were all touring and get them to contribute stories about baseball? Because most of these guys loved baseball. A lot of us booked our schedule traveling around from comedy club to comedy club all over the country based on who was in town. So I would go to Chicago twice a year, play clubs up there. And before I did it, I looked at the Cubs and White Sox schedules so I could go to both games. And that was in the summer, which meant that I also had to go to Chicago in January every year, which was less than fun. I started talking to these different comics and they're like, yeah, I'd love to be a part of it. So there are 40 comedians, professional comedians, and professional comedy writers for television that contributed stories. There are 80 stories in the book. And T-Shawn, we started out doing comedy here in Houston together. And he went on to write for Jay Leno, The Tonight Show, and to write for Saturday Night Live for several years. So he has stories that pertain to both of those things that are in the book. Opportunities that arose for him because he was writing for Tonight Show or SNL. The most recognizable, and I won't say name, but the most recognizable face of anybody that's in here is probably going to be another buddy of mine from New York, went to U of H to drama school, Robert Wool. And if you don't know that name, he is the guy in Bull Durham who said, candlesticks are nice. He also had a show on HBO called Harless, where he was a sports agent. And so he knew everybody. And most of the people that are in this book, I've known for 40 years. And they all jumped at this because they love baseball. There are 3 women that contribute stories to this, and all of them are fantastic. But with one in particular, I will call out because it is, I don't want to say it's my favorite, but it's kind of my favorite. Monica Piper was a New York comic who moved to Los Angeles early and was one of the regular Comedy Store. And she has a fantastic story about getting hit on by Mickey Mantle. And I will not say anything else because the story is absolutely brilliant. Language-wise, there is adult language in this book, so it's not for children. But there's a lot of very funny things in here. There are some sad things in here as well. And Rob was talking about the memory kind of stuff, the nostalgia stuff of your parents taking you to a ball game. There's some of that in here, but there were absolutely no limitations on what anybody could write. So it's like, you want to take part in this, you write whatever you want. Some of them are short, some of them are longer. The longest piece for this book is written by a friend of mine who grew up here, and he wrote about cheating in baseball throughout history. And he admits up front he is an Astros fan, and then proceeds to run down all the times the Duffs and everybody else cheated. There's a little bit of everything in here, and I will say that, yeah, one of the hardest things, because like I said, no limitations, it's show business, it's comedy. So all of these people, not all, a large number of these people are from New York or Los Angeles. So they are writing about the two teams that I cannot stand. Yet, as the editor of the book, I left all of that alone. Could be the hardest thing I've ever had to do. But there are a lot of Yankee stories in here. There are a lot of Dodger stories in here. There are a lot of Mets stories in here. Those I can live with all day long. But you have fans of the Pirates and the Reds and the Cardinals and Mariners. They're all in here. There's even a Diamondbacks season ticket holder that wrote up a bunch of stories. So that's the last thing I will mention. And the reason I cut off the end of the Puerto Rico thing is the last story in the book is me writing about that reconnection with baseball going down there. And you'll have to find out the big punchline to the story by
How many copies of that you got?
I brought, because T-Sean got his. I think there are 13 here. There's one reserved for Bob, because Bob had the foresight to call me and go, hey, hold this and bring this other book. So other than that, I think there may be 12 that are left that you can get tonight. Otherwise, it goes on sale tomorrow.
And then you go to autograph.
For you, Fred,
Well,
after the comments you made, that'll be another $10.
Anybody certified really is an autograph.
Luckily, Chris is legally able to do
How
that.
much is selling it for, Mike?
Tonight, if you have cash, $20. They really should be 22, including tax, but I don't have change and don't want to jack with that. So
Don't have a chin.
yeah,
So, question I have then, if 12 other people want to get their copy, I'll probably see you at the Colt 45 Stadium. I can order one and you sign it. And that still benefits you.
yeah, and they'll be on my website if you want to order it, and I'll send it, but it hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
Hey, they're gonna put that marker in the ground like a home plate, or is it?
No, where home plate is at Colt is out in the parking lot.
I know.
One of the things that we had pushed for at one point was to mark that off with like paint, where you could mark the field. And Ryan Walsh, that was the manager of NRG Park for a long time, got promoted and he now runs Harris County Sports Club. So they have new management. I don't know any of them. And I think that would be a hard sell. So the marker is going to go right at the west end of its center, which would place it in right field for the footprint of Colt Stadium. But that's a place that nobody's going to run over. And people will see it because they're all going to be going into the center. So, any questions about any of those things?
I just have a quick, Mike, is it gonna be available on Kindle?
Yeah, the ebook, Yep, there's an ebook, paperback, hardback on Amazon. You can order it from any bookstore. They will order it through Ingram. And eventually, like within a month, you can get it on my website. Right. Cool, thanks.
Thanks a lot, Mikey. Okay, it's trivia time. And you may not recognize this, but Mike is the one who's got this restaurant way back in particular. We were looking at restaurants all over Houston. And Mike too has come here. So we were using the link fun. Yeah, thanks. Good job. Well, you got a slideshow? Okay, so
Well, here's trivia.
now Mark Wernick wrote this trivia contest. And Chris kind of glanced over it and said, yeah. PhD level. So if you need a pen, I have a pen. Marcus said that even though he's not here tonight, next time we see him, the winner will get a copy of Tom Wolfe's Called Shot. Okay, so it's the Called Shot. Babe Ruth, the Chicago Cubs, and the unforgettable Major League Baseball season of 1932 by Thomas Wolfe. So, I only got a few people left online. So,
We're acting like this.
So take a few minutes. Anybody need a pen? Nobody needs a pen. It's not even a chance.
There's one person still alive.
There's one person up for this.
Number 3 for season or career?
All right. I'll go ahead and read the question. Who hit the 13th inning grounder that turned into the error that ended Harvey Haddock's perfect game? And who made the error? Like I said, PhD. Number 2, the MLB record for longest scoreless game remains 24-inning Mets Astros clash on April 15, 1968. Who hit the grounder that was misplayed by Mets shortstop Al Weiss, allowing the winning run to score? And who scored the game's only run thanks to that error? Homer Simpson. As Chris would say, Jose Altuve. Number 3, name the pitcher with the best career one-loss percentage. One loss percentage versus the New York Yankees, minimum of 20 decisions. Goodness.
Is that season or
Career with the best career. One-loss percentage versus the New York Yankees, minimum of 20 decisions. Number 4. Here we go. Kind of reminds me of some of the questions that one of my students gave today. Big paragraph question. Okay, I asked AI who has the best postseason record versus the Yankees. This was the answer AI gave me. The record for most postseason wins against the Yankees is 3, and is shared by Lou Burdett, 1957 World Series, Randy Johnson, 2001 World Series, Bob Gibson, 1964-67 World Series, Luis Dion, 1975 World Series, Jimmy Koufax, 1963 World Series, Kurt Schilling, 2001 World Series, John Bex, 2003 World Series, 2007 ALCS. A tie for 3 postseason wins is correct, but AI makes 8 mistakes in this reply. If you can list 4 of them, you get 100% on this question. Exactly. Or whoever said that. Number 5. In all of MLB MLB history, according to Baseball Reference, 3 baseball position players have posted a 1-season WAR, wins above replacement of 12.0 or higher. Who are they? How long did they know it? Probably all month. Number 6, in all of MLB history, only 2 pitchers have won a World Series game. St. Louis Browns. Who are they? And I can assure you one of those is not Eddie Goodell.
Later, one of those pictures.
Eddie Goodell is not a correct name.
No, so.
Number 7, who is the only baseball player since 1917 to have at least 2 stolen bases in a game in 4 consecutive games? 2 hints. It's only been done 3 times in all of baseball history. And the last time it was done was in 2014. So when it was done in 2014, it was the first time in 7 years that it had been done.
Right.
Right.
What's going
We love Mark. We really do. We really do. Mark. Number 8. Who was the longest tenured original Houston Club 5 in Major League Baseball? Stated another way, name the last player to retire from MLB who played for the 1962 Houston Colt 45.
Second is?
Mike?
Yeah, somebody
I
here.
do know the name of the player.
All right. Number 9.
Just can't recall it.
It's the last relief pitcher to preceded him to homer twice in the same game.
This should be a presentation for 2.
I haven't even let us guess. Number 10. Name the first 2 MLB pitching staffs to reach 1,000 strikeouts in a season. The year that they accomplished this feat. Hint: the first was pre-expansion and the second was post-expansion. A bonus extra point for naming each pitcher to record the 1,000 strikeouts.
Now, expansion, he means early 60s expansion, not.
I think he means
Yeah, he means
post.
Great, great thing about this foosball league, we'll start off, anybody get 2? Let's put them on the same time.
Number 11. In the year Roy Face went 18-1, 1959, who was the winning pitcher in the only game he lost?
Oh, buddy.
Fromber.
Number 12, his last major league home run was a walk-off grand slam that propelled his team trailing 7-3, entering the bottom of the 9th to a 9-7 victory. The year was 1954. He entered that game as a 38-year-old pinch runner in the 8th inning. He also played in 1 World Series and had a memorable performance involving a missed 3rd strike. Who is he?
Did you just Lady Merkel?
Yeah. Number 13, who hit the first pinch hit home run in World Series play?
Jeff Beckwith.
Number 14, the entire history of Major League Baseball, there has been only 1 pinch hit home run in the first inning. Who hit it? Who did he pinch hit for? Who yielded it? And when did it happen?
Like 5 questions.
What model bat was he
And
holding?
what day of the week was it? How did the first inning? And what? Number 15, name the last pitcher to win the MVP award in the year he did it. And he recently broke Andy Pettit's record for longest pitching career without posting a losing record during any season.
Bob Lepper.
I remember my presentation. We got to be on his. Number 16, who is the oldest living player of the Houston Major League franchise? The oldest living player. Oh, come on, Mike. Everybody, oh, come on. Y'all should know this one. Been trying to get this guest for a year and a half, or a year. Come talk to us. Is that a good enough hint? You've been in the last couple of meetings, you probably got the answer to this question. Number 17, who was the first ball player to play for all 3 New York teams that were in New York at the time of the player's career?
If Bob doesn't know that one, that question can't be answered.
We're talking, yes, we're talking first ball player to play for all three New York teams that were in New York. So talking Giants.
Dodgers.
Okay. Is that correct?
It's a contract.
It's a chiropractor. He'll finish his career with more than 400 home runs, including postseason, without ever hitting as many as 30 in a season.
I knew that before. I saw that. I saw that.
19, who's the only player to both surrender and to hit a pinch hit. Grand Slam.
Not in the, they've been saying game, short in their whole career.
Jose Altuve. 20. Named the Hall of Fame outfielder who set his career high homer total for one season in his 15th and final season, and he did it playing for the Mets in 1962. I assume we're not talking about what's
Chiropractic play for Yankees.
21. Who pitched the only two no-hitters in history? Shea. For the Mets play. 22. This last one.
There's
24.
1962, the Giants set a record up to that point in time since 1900 for best National League home field win-loss percentage with a 61-21 home win-loss record. Nevertheless, one visiting team managed a winning record at Candlestick in San Francisco that season. Named that team, which went 5-4 versus the NL champ Giants at Candlestick. Thank you. 23. Name two players who retired with exactly 1,000 hits. And last, certainly not least, can you identify the Cardinals general manager who signed off on Mike Torres' first promotion to the major leagues in his subsequent debut? And it's the same GM who signed off on how Woodchick's final release.
The way that's worded, the correct answer is no.
Where's Tony?
Can you identify it? No, I can't. I got one.
All right. One final thing as you're thinking about the answers here to these questions. What did y'all think about the end of the World Baseball Classic? Anything surprised you during the World Baseball Classic? Besides Italy? Viva Italy!
I was really happy for Omar Lopez.
Yes.
Yes. Good point. Good point. Yes.
Yeah.
Good point. Anybody see Jose Altuve grinning from ear to ear?
Yeah.
So yeah. Or that championship game.
Yeah, I think Puerto Rico just won.
Venezuela.
Venezuela won. They beat everybody that they shouldn't have beat all the way through. Three testing. They took.
Is Aaron Judge going to be marked now as a non-big game hitter?
I think he's all.
Not only that, but all the other big games the Yankees have been in.
Anybody check that story? Very good, made.
Yeah.
I spend my run through paper mache. Here we go. But I heard somebody at that wonderful John Boy Media, I think it was John Boy, who said that, maybe it was Fields, that said that Aaron Judge did himself no favors by giving that speech. He can't possibly win or lose with anything. He did himself no favors. He should have never even said anything. So, y'all think he should have never even said anything, gave that speech? Who? Aaron Judge.
Did he give a speech?
Yeah. Exactly.
What, after the last game?
Before the World Baseball Classic ever started. I didn't even watch the speech. I don't even know what he said. He's going to tell me.
More important than the World Series, essentially.
He said World Baseball Classic's more important than the World Series?
Essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's that effect?
He didn't hit there.
I guess he was saying I guess he said that because maybe he thought he actually had a chance to win something. It's been a night of jokes. Might as well, right? A night of jokes. I got to throw one out there. Maybe we should have never done the Superman going around in our own hall.
Participation trophies.
He's on the one, he's the man that's.
Anyway, I actually loved it, and I personally, I thought the Dominican Republic's really open, but that was
You know that betting stuff where you bet more or less on a player's performance? As a group, did we get more or less than 8 of these? We'll find out here tonight. I think we got
I
less.
think you can start it.
all right. Here we go with the answers, real quick. I'm just going to say number 1, and here's the answer. I'm not reading through all of it.
No.
Number 1, Felix Mantilla, Don Hook.
Right on, simple.
Now, we have not verified these guys actually played the major leagues.
Right.
It's his word, you know.
2, Bob Aspromonte. Norm Miller. Number 3, Babe Ruth, 17-5. Number 4, holy.
Well, basically, it was Burdette and Johnson. Everybody else was a lie.
Burdette and Johnson.
Burdette and Johnson were the only ones who actually had 3 wins against the Yankees. Everybody else was.
Well,
incorrect.
unless 4 of them, you get 100%.
So you could pick the names, you could pick the team, you whoever. So yeah, there was 5 these guys. There's 5 here listed. So
75 Yankees.
Let's just skip that.
I had 7.
All right. Next, number 5, Carl Yastrzemski, Roger Hornsby, Babe Ruth.
I got 1.
Number 6, Eddie Goodell. No. Marie Gilhouse and Jack Kramer. Go back. Number 6. Marie Gilhouse, Jack Kramer.
Jack Kramer was a gentleman.
Number 7 would be Jose Altuve.
I got 1. This time hang out to me all the time.
Ray Chapman did it in 1917. Bill Dolan in 1904. Number 8.
Okay.
Justin played until 1977.
He was an Astro reliever.
Number 9. Millard Dixie Howell, accomplished in 1957.
I'm not gonna read all that.
Number 10.
Wait a minute, what was that?
Number 9 was for Mikey. No, Millard Dixie Howell.
Dixie Howell.
Somebody did put.
No, that was.
Then it says there were at least 2 Dixie Howells. Oh, no.
Number 10, Dodgers, 1959, Stan Williams. Colt 45, 1962, Jim.
I was.
You get half credit?
Yes.
That was the question.
You need the question?
Yeah.
Number 11.
Pitching staff, right? And the extra
Yeah,
guys.
those are the pitching staffs, and that was the actual pitcher who got the 1,000th strikeout.
Bonus extra point for naming each pitcher to record the 100th strikeout, 1000th strikeout.
Wait, put it back a minute. Oh, we don't know.
Dodgers, 1959. Huh?
I had those Astros, but.
We'll count Astros.
I didn't see, but.
Okay. Number 11. Churn. Baseball poster written on.
You even played even Bob.
I almost said it and said you come back.
Number 12. Mickey Owen.
Okay. That's like,
Number 13. Yogi Berra, 1947.
yeah, I had Hank Bauer.
Number 14. Carl Ferrillo. Pinch hitting for Gene Vermonsky off Oscar Judd, 1954.
It's like 4 answers in one question.
Come on, Joe.
Sorry. Still on grease one.
It says number 15. I have Gene Hermansky.
Oh, boy.
Strong guard. Clayton Kershaw, 2014. 16.
Well,
Oh!
Oh, I,
Hold on a
I,
second.
I guess.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, he's still alive. Bobby Shantz is still alive. He's still alive.
Could be the.
Oh.
He's selling donuts. He's got a donut shop.
What?
Threw me a curve. Not on somebody else.
I'm just.
Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Ask for money.
Oh, no.
I thought it was Astros.
See, I'm not the only one.
Because I'm
That's why
confused.
I already knew the answer, but I put this thing together. And when you said I'm trying to get him going, you better hurry because he's 100.
I know.
So you never know.
Bob used to play tennis with my dad. My dad, 37. So Bob could be quick.
He also played third base for the.
Yeah, he did.
Do some dramatic thing.
Do they have a ring? No, I'm joking.
He's got two of them. Oh, he's got.
17, Willie Killer, Brooklyn Giants, Highlanders. Highlander, yes.
The Highlanders.
That was the name of the Yankees before they were the Yankees. And okay, at least there's a Hall of Fame. Willie Killer. Hey, take okay, line.
Yep.
Oh, wow. I've heard of him.
19, early win.
Oh, when was that? Oh,
When was that?
Well, it's 1 in 46, and again in 61.
When was the answer to the question?
20.
That's Richie Ashby.
Yes, first. We know one person got at least one question right.
I'm up to 4.
Holy cow.
Oh, my goodness. Finally, somebody got
Do you have
a
anybody that can substantiate that though?
21.
My cousin, he played the Patriots.
Chip's winning perfect game on Father's Day 1964. Babu's. 22.
Oh, I thought it was one guy.
Yeah, it is too.
Good. 45.
You up to 5?
Fine.
Wait, what was 22?
Go 45.
Go
I
45.
guess that right?
23.
I would guess that.
Bernie.
Bernie,
Evans.
Evans.
He's on here.
Oh, God.
Last but certainly not least, number 24. Stan Musial.
Wow.
It's the Cardinals GM when Mike Perez was spot up for his MLB debut and Al would shorts.
Let's start at 18 right answers, but this looks like a smart crowd tonight.
Oh,
6 major league.
I think it was just.
Well, I'm a chiropractor. I got 23 of them right.
what?
Let's go exactly pronounce it for number 23.
Oh! Let's go back. There are actually 3 players who retired with exactly 1,000 hits, and they are
Jamie Carroll's the other one. Sure.
Jamie Carroll. We like to double check, triple check.
These are people.
Question here.
Yeah, you have to write the quiz for next one.
Right, but hold on. So we know Mike has at least 5. Right? At least 5.
Exactly.
That's one more than that.
Not at least.
Exactly 5. Can anybody beat 5?
He has to come back next month and present the quiz.
Okay, besides the 3 people that got questions right, anybody else get a question? Herb got 1. Okay. Mike, congratulations. Are you gonna be able to write the? You talk a lot.
No, but
I'll-
know Mark works on Monday night. Never comes.
I'm gonna make a point of talking to him after this.
Yes, because he has your copy of Tom Wolfe's The Called Shot.
Okay,
He will give it to you.
right.
So that's what he said. Mark is not able to attend tonight. He did plan on it actually. But he's scheduled for surgery tomorrow morning.
He works every month.
Well, he said it works. Yeah, I think it was gonna be online.
He's gonna have a colonoscopy.
No,
Oh, he's going to the chiropractor.
after under the chiropractor.
He deserves it.
All I have to say is I'm very tired. Thank y'all very much
Yes.
for making it. This is one of the funniest meetings we've ever had. Do not forget, all of you have been. Two things. The next chapter newsletter is coming out pretty soon. If you have a story about the World Baseball Classic you want to share, or any type of story, Scott, you can write about the Italy run. For the chapter newsletter. Why don't you do that? You were the one saying Italy. Let's not forget about Italy. That kind of stuff. Don't forget your win total. Astros win total at 3:00 Thursday.
Okay.
Gloria has a question.
So much.
Gloria has an announcement.
I don't know if any of y'all have seen the exhibit called Black Ball Baseball, Barbecue, and Blues. I went to the opening night, and then I think I was out of town when Larry Lester spoke this month, but it's gonna last till June 30th, and it's in the Freedmanstown Visitor Center.
What is it?
What's it called?
Is it a play, a game, or?
No,
It's an art exhibit
Oh.
of black baseball players,
All right.
and it's excellent.
Yeah.
Boy, that's right.
Thank you for reminding me. I forgot.
Have you been?
No, but you reminded me.
It's
Thank you.
very interesting, and I'm sorry I missed Larry Lester.
Yeah, what city is it in?
Right here.
It's here.
Fourth Ward, Houston.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, thank you, Gloria. You go, Gloria. Thank you all very much. Remember April 19th, the Houston Babies? We are recruiting for new players, so young guys especially. April 20th. Don't forget, right here, April 20th, Jude Butler. Talking about getting the Texas Baseball Hall of Fame going up against.
Now you need to find a real ball player who's a fake chiropractor.
And Chris may give a presentation. I don't know. We'll see. All right. You have a great month.